Welcome to the Fresh Vending podcast, where we discuss how smart vending machines are revolutionizing fresh food accessibility for both creators and consumers. Hey everyone, it's Isaac and Nathan, the hosts of the Fresh Vending podcast, and we're back here with episode 18 about smart vending in hospitals. And something that we do a lot at FoodSpot is we go to trade shows and talk to operators who are looking for technologies like ours and others out there. And we kind of spanned the gamut of trade shows this year, where on one end of the spectrum, we went to NAMA, which is a trade show that's vending centric. So you think of kind of the traditional vending like Mars and, Skittles and all those kind of vending companies. And then on the other end, self-operated dining operations. So, just to start with NAMA, the vending conference, I think, Nathan, if you, I don't know about you, but when I first walked onto that trade show floor, it was like, wow, there are a lot of quote unquote smart coolers or smart fridges in
I,
this world.
I think there might have been like 70 or 80 different models there. Like I've never seen anything like it. And yeah, it was like every other booth. It was a good sized show, and every other booth had like a fridge in it that was supposedly smart about something.
Love
And it was interesting for me, as somebody that, is the owner operator of a smart fridge company. Um, it was like you really, if I was an operator, it's incredibly confusing. Like, what does the word smart even mean? Because I think, vending machines for many decades have been connected to the internet, just for the credit card readers. So it makes me one like you just really had to like decipher. I mean, what was your takeaway from that tidal wave of smart vending fridges that you saw at the show?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It reminds me of like when a restaurant says like we're farm to table, where there are some legitimately kind of sourced farm to table restaurants, whereas others just like to use that claim. And I think, you know, smart fridge or smart cooler, we need to kind of define it a little more tightly here. And so if we just start at the base level, okay, fridge, yes, all of the concepts there were some sort of refrigerated unit. Okay, we're good. Then how about a payment method? All right, that was present in most of these solutions as well. So we had the fridge, we had the payment method, and now let's kind of talk about the user experience. Many of the smart coolers there were kind of inventions of payment companies that just said, "Hey, here's this credit card reader. Let's grab a cooler, let's slap it on there, and say, yeah, you can buy out of this fridge, but by the way, you're just required to do a self checkout at the end, or you're just required to only grab what you paid for." That was most of the solutions there. Okay, that's the
Like an
core.
honor system type
Yeah, honor
solutions.
system. Okay. Then let's move it a step further and say, okay, what is actually a smart fridge or smart cooler? It's the inventory tracking. I would say the remaining solutions were they had inventory tracking, but they either used scales or AI cameras, right? And we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, Nathan, so I don't want to dig too much into it, but scales are great for mass-produced kind of 7-Eleven items. Again, you don't have the level of food safety of individual tracking, and you lose a lot of shelf space. And you have to constantly recalibrate the scales because food's not always weighing the same, especially when it's portioned by a human being. The camera-based technologies, we talked to a lot of them, and again, really great for uniform products like, a jar of peanut butter or a can of Sprite. But again, no individual tracking. You get pretty sketchy when you start getting into fresh food that has like a million different form factors. And every time you want to add a new product, you have to make sure that the AI is trained on that specific strawberry spinach salad that you're making. And so there's a lot of cumbersome activities for the operator there. So we pretty much covered every solution at the NAMA show, except for ours, which is it has inventory tracking, obviously the fridge and the credit card reader, but it uses RFID, which has that level of food safety because each product is tagged with an RFID sticker and each product's tracked in terms of inventory and expiration date. So that kind of just, if I built the pyramid up, it's like the fridge and credit card reader on the lowest level, then there's some inventory tracking with cameras or scales, and then And then ours stuck out because we were the only RFID technology there at the show.
Yeah, and I think that when I take a step back, a lot of those solutions are perfect for, salty, sweet, shelf stable, to be able to sell those items. I think the vast majority of those were made in China, or at least from the companies that I talked to. But again, it could be really confusing. But if you're looking for vending options, I think they're also like pretty inexpensive options. So I think in that regard, there was some interesting things there for traditional vending, but not a lot that's kind of pushing the envelope because it's very clear from everything that we're seeing is that like the world is moving towards like making fresh more and more convenient. And having a Honda Civic deliver Uber Eats is not necessarily the most economical or earth-friendly way to kind of do that. So it'll be interesting to see how NAMA continues to move, or that big community, the kind of more traditional vending community towards fresh. But right now, my read on it was that they're maybe thinking about dipping their toe in the pool, but we were the only like smart fridge there that had like high level of like food safety and those types of things. So that was a good learning on one end from the vending community and where that sits in the US market. The other end is the food service community. So recently we went to the AHF, which is a hospital food service trade show. We've been going there for many years. We really like it. I mean, the community is awesome, but more specifically, it's self-operated food service. So there's not kind of a third company that's coming in and managing all the food service operations on a daily basis. And the feedback from them is that it's 100% fresh. That's what people want. They want to make it available 24 hours a day. But on top of that, labor is just incredibly challenging because unlike vending companies, when you're producing fresh products, you have to make it in-house. You have to be rotating it and maintaining it. I mean, it's just a big responsibility, and it's especially hard until today's labor market. I mean, what were some of your kind of observations from going to AHF a few weeks ago, Isaac?
Yeah, if you're in the industry, this may be obvious to you, but it may not be obvious to everyone. They had a third-party consulting firm just interview and survey hospital food service administrators, and they put up a chart that said, what are your biggest concerns? And labor and food waste were the highest. So that's kind of burned into my head. And I've been thinking about that a lot in the context of smart vending because great, if you can sell products 24/7 without a cashier, amazing. That's what a smart fridge can do for you. And on top of that, in order to really sleep at night and actually make it a profitable business for you, you need to make sure that the food waste piece is dialed in too, where um, your dashboard should show, hey, what products are expiring right now in my fridge, and it should show, hey, what products have been wasted most. And that's kind of why and how we design our products so that you can address both the labor and the food waste piece. So that's kind of my big takeaway from the show.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just different in a hospital environment. Like, you can't make somebody sick from your food, right? Like, you need that high level of traceability that RFID technology brings to the table. So, a very different experience going from like vending to food service and kind of some of those learnings. But the other thing that I think our customers have taught us, especially when we talk about campuses, higher education, and healthcare, the last couple of years is that the fridge is great, but we have different needs in the hospital. There's, a big appetite for frozen where they don't have to worry about shelf life nearly as much. There's a big appetite for having some sort of like ambient pantry solution where you got a lot of doctors and nurses that are working 14, 16-hour shifts. You've got people that unexpectedly their day took a left turn and they're stuck in the emergency room with their families for, 8, 10 hours. You have these like, challenging scenarios for humans on a daily basis inside hospitals in particular, where it's great to be able to have access to different products 24 hours a day, and just make it like really convenient. So for us, that was a big push to create what we've called Don the provision suite. Um, and you could imagine being inside of a hospital, and yes, you want that, high quality fresh food that's made in-house 24 hours a day. But like I said, what if you could get a cell phone charger because you're stuck in the ER? Or what if you could get some of those personal hygiene, things where it's like, "Oh, I just want to like brush my teeth. I've been stuck here for 10 hours and I didn't expect to be." So that's how kind of the pantry brings to life all those different scenarios that a gift shop might traditionally be in that hospital setting, but now the gift shop's open 24 hours a day. The fridge scenario where you can see the flowers in there. Like, how amazing would it be to, we walk in and say, "Oh, just swipe, grab these, walk up to your loved one that you're visiting, and you have, floral options that are highly convenient." And then I think some more like the freezer stuff that we talked about. But yeah, so this is what we've launched last month, and we're starting to sell these out into the community. But Isaac, I mean, is there anything in particular that kind of excites you about, bringing this to life on campuses all across the United States?
Yeah, and I just will add for those who are just listening on the screen right now, we have the provision suite, which includes a smart pantry, so an ambient unit, as well as a smart freezer for the frozen products, as well as the smart fridge. And Nathan, what excites me most is I visit our hospital clients, every month, and I see that they have spaces where people need these products. And um, I also know that these people are busy. These operators are really busy. They have no time to, worry about, hey, are the products okay? Or do we make the wrong choice in location? The beautiful part about the provision suite is that it's on wheels. It's just a 3 by 3 footprint per microstore, and they can roll them down the hallway if they need. They can always see what's going on in the fridge. And so this just adds, more variety in products that they can sell whilst keeping the flexibility of footprint and the level of food safety and theft prevention that we've always strive to keep in our products. So I'm just excited for people to have more access in hospitals other than just the fresh food.
Yeah, and I think it really, hits the nail on the head for what we talked about earlier is when we're looking at waste, is what you said from the AHF event. So, being able to have a freezer or being able to have the pantry where you can have, things that have a much longer shelf life, like those convenience store type items. But really, you still need to have the fresh. And with the fresh, and the RFID stickers tracking expirations for each product, you have that level of food safety that just hospitals can't compromise on, right? And then the other piece is you're not hiring a cashier for 8 hours, you're saving all of that labor time and all those labor dollars, not only for the 8 hours, but now you can sell 24 hours. So I'm super pumped. We know these operators. We've been, going to these trade shows and working with them for many, many years very closely, especially with those that are our operators and our clients. So like, I'm super pumped to like watch this come to life on campuses across the US. And kind of, as always, I'm sure there's going to be some things that we learn from our operators and how they use, this like really kind of dynamic, new retail offering.
If you're on a healthcare campus and you're interested in bringing something like this amenity to your staff or your care team or your guests, please reach out. Nathan and I love speaking to operators around the country, and the application is very strong for hospitals and other healthcare environments. So we're excited to work with you and even just have a discussion. And yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the show this week. If you're interested in learning more about smart vending platforms, you can visit us at launchfoodspot.com. I'm Nathan Downs, and you've been listening to the Fresh Vending Podcast.